Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe. Jai Shri Radha Madhava ki Jai. Shri Prahlad Lakshmi Singhadev Bhagavan ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So Hare Krishna, welcome to our daily discourse on the Bhagavad Gita. It's a great honor that I got the service to sit here. Please bless me that somehow or other I can be useful in your inquiry brains, in your thirsty hearts for some nectar to come out and use me as a cow to milk the nectar. First of all, is it okay that I speak in English? Ist das verstehen alle Englisch? You speak English, right? Yes. What's your good name, by the way? Anke. Ah, du kommst schon aus Deutschland, oder? Anke. Super, Anke. Willkommen. Du bist schon eine Weile hier, aber ich meine, wir sind uns noch nie wirklich begegnet. Anke. Danke, Anke. Ich muss sagen, bitte, Brigitte. Okay. Okay, so we're reading from Srimad-Bhagavad Gita. And I was told that we are in the 8th chapter, verse 11. Correct? Okay, I try to read from the book because it's more nice than from my tablet, but sometimes the light getting confusing. Okay, so chapter 8, verse 11. Yat aksharam vedavito vadanti. Yat aksharam vedavido vadanti. Vishandi yat yata yo vitaragaha. Vishandi yat yata yo vitaragaha. Yad ichanto brahmacharayam charanti. Yad ichanto brahmacharayam charanti. Tate padam sankrahena pravakshye. Tate badam sankrahena pravakshe yad aksharam veda vido vatanti vishandi yat yata yovitaragaha yad ichanto brahmacharyam charanti tate badam sankrahena pravakshe. Please read. Ladies? Yat ichando brahmacharyam charanti tade badam sankrahena pravakshe yat aksharam veda vido vyatanti vishandi yat yata yo vitaragaha yadi chando brahmacharyam charanti tate badam sankrahena pravakshe yat that which aksharam syllable om veda vidaha persons conversant with the Vedas vatandi say vishanti enter yat in which yatayaha great sages vitaragaha in the renounced order of life yat that which ichandaha desiring brahmacharyan celibacy charanti practice tat that te unto you param situation sankrahena in summary pravakshe I shall explain. Okay. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So, yeah. So. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman, desiring such perfection. One practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. Purport. Lord Sri Krishna has recommended to Arjuna the practice of Satchara Yoga, in which one places the air of life between the eyebrows. Taking it for granted that Arjuna might not know how to practice Satchara Yoga, the Lord explains the process in the following verse. The Lord says that Brahman, although one without a second, has various manifestations and features. especially for the impersonalists, the Akshara or Omkara, the silver Om, is identical with Praman. Krishna here explains the impersonal Praman, into which the renounced order of sages enter. In the Vedic system of knowledge, students from the very beginning are taught to vibrate Om and learn of the ultimate impersonal Praman by living with the spiritual master in the complete celibacy. In this way, they realize two of Praman's features. This practice is very essential for the students' advancements in spiritual life. But at the moment, such brahmachari, unmarried celibate life is not at all possible. The social construction of the world has changed so much that there is no possibility of one's practicing celibacy from the beginning of student life. Throughout the world, there are many institutions for different departments of knowledge, but there is no recognized institution where students can be educated in the brahmachari principles. Unless one practices celibacy, advancement in spiritual life is very difficult. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya has announced, according to the scriptural injunctions for this age of Kali, that in this age, no process of realizing the Supreme is possible except the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Magnanati Manasya Kinananchana Shalakya Chaksho Midam Yena Tasmai Shikadave Namah Sri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stabidam Yena Putale Swayam Rupakadam Yam Dadati Swabarandikam Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadada Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one may attain salvation. So we have here the great yogis. What do? What do they do? The learned persons. What do they do?
Live with their guru and live in celibacy.
But first of all, they do what? In the verse says, persons who are learned in the Vedas. They do what? What do they, as a principle? Everybody looks good that we have phones nowadays, right? What do they do? Did you find it? Or did you WhatsApping? No, good. Not WhatsApping. What? Document. They chant Omkara. Why do they chant Omkara? What is the nature of Omkara? What is in Omkara? What do we find there? What they want to enter when they chant Omkara?
The Om was what it translates.
Yeah.
It's transcendental somehow.
Well, yeah, they want to enter into what? Brahman. Yeah, they want to enter into Brahman. Why? What is in the Brahman? Well, everything is there. Like if you take the whole essence of all the Vedas and pack it together, you know, like the Vedanta Sutra, they are all this knowledge packed in little sutras. Little sutras means like little keynotes. You know, each subject of knowledge can be condensed, like milk. You cook it down, right? It becomes thick milk, and then even this you can condense. It becomes a burfi, and if you condense this burfi, it becomes like a hot, sugary, milky substance, like a toffee, right? So in the same way, you can, each subject of knowledge, you can kind of summarize. And this summarization, again, you can summarize. In the end, you have just only one very short sentence what describes everything. And this is then written down, right? And then other great sages, they come, they're reading this shloka, or this phrase. And then from this, they again expanding it. They're building it up again. Of course, nobody does this because of his own mental speculations. They go to the best acharyas and they see, okay, how they explained this sutra, this condensed version, right? They're taking the toffee and adding again water, cooking it again, adding water. Then in the end becomes again sweet milk, right? So everything is in the Pramana. Now, what is this toffee? What is the essence of the Vedas? And don't think Vedas as something written. Take Vedas as something what is spoken. What is the essence? Taruka. Yes, but what is the essence? What of this all knowledge? Where is it's one syllable? What everything is contained. It says here. Yes, the Omkara is basically the very most toffee. It represents everything. The whole Vedas are in the Omkaras, like the beginning and the end, and everything what is in between. That's an Omkara. Therefore, those students, when they study the Vedas, in the same time they're chanting Omkara, because in this Om, in the sound vibration, Aum, Aum, everything is contained. And to realize that, therefore they study the Veda and they're chanting this to again enter into this realm where everything is stored, like a Akash. Akash is like a cloud of information. So the Akash is accessible from all of us. We are connected with this cloud, with this information cloud. And the more we can consciously access this information cloud. And this goes through all the universe. So every thought, what is thought, and especially when it's getting spoken, when it's getting out, it becomes more and more manifested, the more everybody else can access it. You never had this experience, you thought a thing, and then you meet somebody or hear a lecture or whatever, and somebody speaks about this. You had this experience? No?
You think about somebody, the person is calling you.
For example, but here it's about knowledge. It's like all the knowledge is stored out there. And according to our realization, our endeavor, we get access to different levels of these informations. And the Vedas, the written down Vedas, are just like somebody who extracted this knowledge and wrote it down by the grace of the Lord, of course. It's like the Lord revealing himself. So, but what is very, very important, if you really serious want to enter into this Akash, into this information field, what you have to practice, by the way, as well. Celibacy. Why? What do you think? Why is it so important to practice celibacy? Wenn man unverheirateter Brahmachari ist. Yeah, but why control? I mean, what do you control? I mean, and I don't mean now the cross, this ocean, but the whole sexuality, the whole process is basically our strongest connection to the material world. This what is opposite of Brahman, right? And whenever we have linked with that world, we cannot fully enter into this world, right? Because it holds us back. And therefore students, young students from a very early childhood, like Charu, when they're starting to go to school, now in the Vedic school, it doesn't just mean that you learn writing and mathematics and stuff, and it's basically it's learning to study the Vedas under a teacher, under a guide, right? And there you learn already how to control this urge to connect with matter in that part of the body, because that's very, very strong. Now, on the other hand, we are part of this matter because we have a material body. So these urges, they will be always there. But to learn to control them, that's the foremost duty of a man. Therefore, men go to the Gurukul and learn to live as a brahmachari. Ladies, on the other hand, they live with elderly ladies, not elderly ladies, but with the family members, and they learn how to be chaste. This is how they support and control also their urges. So when these two components come together, that builds a very strong and reliable unit. And the boy who became a man, who went through the system, he not only knows how to control himself, he also knows how to apply it, because he studied the Veda, he studied the Brahman, he knows what's the goal of life. And through applying it in, let's say, Grihastha Ashram, he makes realization. He realizes what he had learned as a brahmachari. It's like when I was in school, chemistry made not much sense for me. It was like, what? So abstract, like two H's and a O and two O's and one H and a C, what is this, I had no idea what they want from me, but then I actually studied a profession where chemistry was a big topic. But by applying it, by having practical experiences, it made all click. Okay, and suddenly this abstract formulas where you, Kohlenwasserstoffring, I don't know how to say in English, this where C and H's and they come together in a hexagram or whatever, okay, therefore, it makes sense because I applied it, what I learned theoretically beforehand, although it didn't make sense. And sometimes schoolboys, they say, why I have to learn this? I will never use this. Well, you never know, right? But chemistry, of course, is a very minor subject, what you really learn in life. I don't know many people have to use chemistry in life. It's not necessary when you wash dishes at home or something that you have to know what's exactly happening there. What I could now tell you, yeah, I will not. So that's very important of this process. Now, therefore, they, when they come to the perfection of this process of understanding the Veda with the applied process of brahmachari, then they attain salvation. But what means salvation? What do you think? What do you think of salvation? What salvation? What is salvation meant here?
Being free from the entanglement.
Okay, but are you free already from the entanglement by this process? I think you are right in one sense, but I want to push it a step further. What is the freedom? Ist das erstmal?
Freedom is when you can decide what you want to do and not your senses decide.
Yes, very good. Very good. Daruka, what do you want to say?
Freedom from duality, personal liberation.
Yeah, but I would go with Stas's thought as well, because it's the freedom that you can choose, the ability, because you have the knowledge about it. So when you don't have knowledge, you're forced into a situation, right? Because you don't have knowledge. So the only thing what you can do is accepting the circumstances. But as soon you have knowledge, you enter some kind of freedom, because you can choose which way to go. But what comes always with freedom? What always comes with freedom? Responsibility, yeah. So this is then, because in this moment we notice we completely, fully responsible of the action what we're taking, right? So therefore, those persons who are learned in the Vedas, they're the most responsible person, and they are doesn't mean they are able to respond to a situation. They are responsible for their actions then in the end, and they're accountable for it. So this is the freedom. Now, the confusion is always that we think it's completely freedom, means freedom. There's no, when we think of freedom, what do we think of? Freedom.
Freedom to satisfy our senses.
Yes. Yeah, basically, we think we are free to do, as Chaisachi was quoting the last days, Prabhupada, when he, the last beat from his counter beats, he stroked down and said, okay, finished 16 rounds, now I can do any damn thing I want to do. Or we think, okay, I did my service, I'm free! We think we are free, right? And it's our conception, because in this way we think now we are free for what? For matter. Now we're free to enjoy matter. And this exactly is the very, the trigger point. Because in the moment we are free of what?
Of something that control our senses, so maybe it's
Yes, of duty. And there's this saying, an idle mind, Devil's Workshop. Who said Devil's Kitchen? Devil's Workshop, yeah. Because in the moment we are free. Okay, I've done my service. I've chanted my rounds. I even read. Okay, let's read for again 20 minutes. Let's read. 5 minutes more. Okay, done. Where's my telephone? YouTube, First looks on spiritual, oh, what Keshava Swami is, oh, some reel, oh, he's so great. Next reel comes in, the algorithm clicks in, right? We go with good intention into the devil's workshop till he starts to work on us. The algorithm clicks in, next thing, whatever. Everybody knows his algorithm. And everybody has their own one. Some are similar, because we come from similar YouTube histories, right? But this is the moment. Therefore, those who aim to control their senses. And not there yet that they have full control over their senses, what do they do? It's a simple process.
What somebody do who can control it?
Who want to control his senses, who knows the process but is not able to do it yet.
Follow sadhana.
Full sadhana, yeah, what does it mean? Simply.
Try to wake up early.
You explain to somebody on the street, he doesn't know what is full sadhana.
Discipline.
Well, yeah, discipline, but how you discipline? How you discipline a naughty child?
I try to do some things that not my senses want, but my intelligence.
But then Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita what restriction can accomplish. See your mind as a naughty child, a restless child. How you keep activities, yes. Keep him busy. Keep the mind and the senses busy. Right? In this way, you can control them, because an idle mind is a devil's workshop. In the moment you engage your mind, even if you go on YouTube and you bring your mind with you and your intelligence, say, okay, maybe I don't watch this. No, maybe not this, maybe not that. Maybe I chose something. Maybe I search for something what gives me some input in my spiritual life. Tomorrow I have to give a class. So let's put something in the search machine about this verse, Bhagavad Gita 8:11. Right? And then you see, oh, so many people, so many devotees gave in class about this. So let me hear what they spoke about. Right? So you take your mind with you, engage your mind in the process, even if you go on something like YouTube. And this is actually what you do when you're applying this knowledge, what you gained then in the so-called material world. And then what happens to the Jai Shishi Palat Lakshmi Singli Bhagavan Ki Jai? Then what happens to the material world when you apply it and when you engage it? What comes? What happens to matter? Yes, it becomes spirit. It becomes spirit, because in the end, matter comes from spirit. So when you again using matter with spirit, it becomes spirit. It becomes spiritual, right? And that's the whole process. That's the process of Yukta Vairagya, right? So therefore, Srila Prabhupada, in the end of the purport, he said what? Somebody remembers about this process of brahmachari, and nowadays it is. Is it possible or not? Okay, difficult. It's very difficult. But what we can do instead? We should simply chant, because this is how we engage our tongue foremost. And when we chant Hare Krishna, we do what? What are we asking for? Seva. Yes. Huh? Yes, we are asking for devotional service. And this devotional service is given to us. If we're really sensitive, we see how this devotion, this service is given to us according to our situation where we are. The only thing what we have to do is we see it as the grace of the Lord, and try somehow or other use it with spirit, and then become spiritualized again. Let's say you're a family father. I mean, your family father or mother, whatever. You have to live in the work, you have to do a job, or somehow or other have to be engaged with the world. Most of us are. Most of us living in the world, right? But each and everything what comes, we have to see as an arrangement for the Lord. And then we can see it, first of all, as a spiritual input in our life. The Lord wants us to accomplish this task, right? As we had this youth program on the weekend, and there were different groups of young devotees were set out in the wilderness in different directions. And they had a cart, they had a compass, but they were not allowed to use cell phones. And they had 3 tasks. They had to distribute on the way. To somebody, they have to distribute prasada, right? They had to distribute a Bhagavad Gita, and possibly they should bring somebody to the temple. So I'm not sure what, I just know from the group who had some engagement with the police, and brought 2 policemen back. Because they were dropped by a van somewhere in the wilderness, and some colored people came out in a whole group, and they all didn't have passports. So some neighbors called the police. Because it's happening here. That's a common thing. People come over the border here. And I saw personally, we saw some van on the side taken out by the police, and maybe 20 people were sitting around the van. They were all smuggled in. So they're very sensitive people here on the police, right? But nobody of us thought of that, because, why somebody can think something bad about us. We're the Hare Krishnas. We're the most nice people in the world. So, yeah, and they called the police, said, what's going on here? Some people walking aimless around, And so police came, and in Germany you have to have some documentation what documents your personality, or who you are, at least where you come from, some passport or whatever. So they didn't have this. They expect, we come from the Hare Krishna temple. Oh, the Hare Krishna temple again, Okay, and they phoned here, and I think they phoned Subal or somebody, and he told Gopal Gita. And in the end, somehow they confirmed, okay, yeah, it's from here. And then they let them go, but they followed them. Where did they go? And so they came to here, but they didn't want to come into the temple. That's their misfortune. Yeah, but the point is, this all were given tasks here by Gopal Gita. But if we see our life situations, whatever comes to us, and even if it looks like terrible or whatever, and looks maybe completely the opposite, our task is to use this, what comes to me, to somehow or other bring it in spirit and spiritualize it. And in this moment where we do this, it starts to make sense. And we see this actually, that's a task what is given by Krishna. Not like you distribute some prasadam, distribute the Bhagavad Gita. That's maybe also there. But, to come in contact with very difficult people on a workplace, what's our task? To condemn these people, to kind of, to fight against these people, or somehow or other to understand, well, there's Krishna's spark in that nasty person. Let me try to fan this spark. Let me try to bring that out. And maybe if Krishna appears in the spark and becomes the shine even brighter, maybe this person becomes a better person. Not only for me, for my convenience, but maybe for his own life, because probably he's very frustrated, therefore he's so nasty. Just some situations from my past life. So that's our understanding that whatever is in the Brahman is actually an emanation of the spiritual world. And everybody is part of the spiritual world. But as we are persons, we all have a personal spiritual world where we have a personal connection with Krishna. It's like I always give this example, and I want to end with this. when you enter in the morning after Mangalati in the temple, what do you hear? After Mangalati. After Tulsi Puja. After the announcements. After the No, you don't hear this. When you enter here in the door in the temple room, what do you hear? First thing you hear. Huh? Was? Bell? Oh, no, yeah. No, you come in and you hear, right? You hear, okay, so they're all chanting Om. But then you go very close to each and every devotee, and what do you hear then? Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And you can make studies on devotees when they chant, or it's like they're really funny. Sometimes I have to leave the temple. I can't, because I mean, it's too much. Like, yeah, but you hear you see all these devotees they have, and even how they chant. That's like they have a personal relationship. In our chanting, we develop a relationship. Some devotees chanting very in sort of anxiety mode. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. There's somebody really calling out. There's really somebody calling out, Krishna, come, come, come. I can't. I need help. I need your mercy. And guess what? Guess what? He's getting the mercy because so eager for it. And then a person, what do they get? Good sleep. Right? So, I mean, of course we all know our natures, and we know the situations what we should avoid, especially by chanting or whatever. But the point is that we all have a personal relationship, and this we express in our chanting. And the expression of our chanting comes back to us in our life, how we can cope with our life and see something spiritual in it. And make this, even if it's a material life, use matter with spirit. And then it becomes spiritual. Yeah. So, thank you very much. I hope that one day I can chant without falling asleep and really have the taste for the holy name. And till this, I need your mercy. Till I get Krishna's mercy, I need the mercy of the Vaishnavas. So I'm asking you for this. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yep. So, if you like, you can correct me now. Or you have questions. At least the microphone is prepared, but I think we don't need it. Doesn't work anyway. That's the sign. Now we see everything as an arrangement of Krishna. Microphone doesn't work, so we stop the class here. But the question comes then, how we preach 10 minutes to Gaurati. Stas, you have an idea?
I have maybe a question, and it can be a solution.
Okay, let's. Stas squeezes a question out. Okay.
Yes, it's not directly yes, to the topic, but I wanted to ask you. We say Trinada Pisunichna, that when our mind is in a humble state of mind, then we can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. But sometimes I feel when after, for example, some conflicts, when I behave myself humble, then it's very difficult for me to chant after. And my thoughts are always like about what they could say, what they must say next time, what they need to.
Because you're not humble. I mean, I'm idle. I mean, I'm not saying this, but because we're not humble. Because even if we, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, I'm sorry, inside we still think, how dare you? How dare you correcting me? How dare you? Don't you know? Right? And this means we are not humble, because when we are humble, that means we accept everything as the grace of the Lord. And even if we correct it, now that's very hard to swallow for the ego, because humility is actually beating our ego. Right? Vaisheshika Prabhu, what Vaisheshika Prabhu always says, what's my favorite sentence from Vaisheshika Prabhu, we just spoke about some days ago.
I live to be corrected.
Did you hear it? I live to be corrected. If we have this understanding, if we have that mindset, then we see everything, okay, that's a correction. It's not a correction from that person. It's a correction from Krishna. This person is just the instrument. And yes, this person maybe is completely unconscious of his role being used. I always gave the example when I distributed books in my very early days in Vienna on the street. And I became so annoyed because Maria, who was on the Maria-Hilfer-Straße distributing? In this time there were even traffic. People were driving, cars were still driving in the middle. No cars anymore. But it was so tense, it was so hectic, it was, oh my goodness. And people are really just rushing, and every 10 meters somebody else was standing. WWF, peace, Greenpeace, and what, everybody wanted somehow to stop the people to get their attention and of course their money. And in between, the Hare Krishnas, and we came there with a whole army. I don't know how many book distributors we were on the whole Maria Hilfer Street. And Prashadam, these bowls, and we had invitation cards for our restaurant, and anyway. So, people really they wanted to go just from up to down Maria Hilfer Street, but they know also it's a battle. For them, it's also a battle, for them, oh no, I have to go, Maria, so, and blah, 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 blah. So people really didn't respond to my call. I mean, I'm here, I'm standing here for Krishna, come on, you have to understand, I'm a good guy. You're not like this Greenpeace, they are the bad guys. Guess what they think? I'm the good guy, I'm standing here for Greenpeace, not this Hare Krishna people, they are the bad guys, right? So, so everybody claims to be perfect, right? And then standing there, nobody responds because they all just want to, they're all bad, The people think they're all bad, and they just completely dismissed me. And as a young bhakta, you become very sensitive. It was, the first times on the street. And you think your mission is so important, nobody cares about your important mission. And I became, really like dismissive to the people back. And I, made then comments because this was where I came from as a background, like, I don't take no for an answer, and I don't take whatever from the people. So I started to become also nasty. And then some kind of, you really look like a chunky or whatever. He just passed by and say, yeah, I don't know what I said. I said something what upsetted him. And he walked 3 meters, then he stopped, turned around, came right in front of me, took his sunglasses down and said, you have to be nice to the people! And turned again and went. And I was, that was really a slap in my face. But I understood immediately, it was not the chunky who said this. That was Krishna, using that chunky to give me the message. So, therefore, we have to see how everything, what comes in our life, What is the meaning? What is the message by the Lord? Doesn't mean we become oversensitive and cannot move anymore because something happened and something this or whatever, and then I don't do anything because maybe I do something wrong or whatever. No, we use our intelligence, or we can ask some seniors, to ask, something happened in my life. How would you apply this? How would you react to this? Right? And reading the books, reading Shastras. Therefore, we do this Bhakti Shastri, that we know how to apply spiritual science into our life. Because we're supposed to be one step ahead. The Vedanta, the Vedantists, the people who study Vedanta, because the Bhakti scriptures are supposed to be the essence of the Vedanta scriptures. So, therefore, we have to study this Bhakti scriptures to really understand, okay, how we as Bhaktas supposed to react. How did the devotees before me react? I always say Bhagavad Gita is like the law book, and Srimad-Bhagavatam is like the case book. In each and every church, they have a law book, and then they have a case book where somebody who broke the law, what happened to him? What was the judge in this situation? And this is reported. So most of the judges, they go back in this history, in this case books, what is our Srimad-Bhagavatam, what happened to other people who did this and that. A good thing or a crime or whatever it is. And so the Srimad-Bhagavatam is presented with different devotees of different caliber. And they did this and that. So what happened then? Right? And we can then apply it in our life and can see, okay, in which character I'm entering here in this situation. This situation is in front of me. Which character do I enter? Do I become like King Prithu? Is the situation like the situation King Prithu had in front of him? So how he did react? Or is the situation when Shiva, with Sati, when he, the thing with Daksha, so many characters. Which side would I be in this story here? Would I be Shiva, or would I be Daksha, or Sati? Whatever. So therefore we can check always in which direction do I go, where do I stand. What is my approach to this and that situation? Therefore, we have to study the scriptures. Does make sense? So, yeah, we have to be humble, and I think it's a very great sloka. We live to be corrected. And in this way, when we really apply this and understand, okay, it's not an ego fighting against another ego. Because one thing is true, ego creates ego. So if I approach somebody with ego, he will react with ego. But love creates what? Love. But it's like that. You have to correct sometimes you have to correct somebody. But if you do it with the intention of love, to really help, to care, you don't have to say, oh, I love you so much, therefore No, just the intention has to be there. I want to help you in your spiritual life. I have no personal motivation. It's not you doing that for me, but you will harm your spiritual life if you continue like that. So please, maybe take in consideration what my experience doesn't work so well. And I tell you, the person will receive it in a much different, positive way than if you just say, get down on your knees. Now I tell you. At least for me, it never works. When somebody tried to push my ego down on the knees, it never works. But when somebody try to transgress my ego by coming with love, who's not pleased by that? And that's the art we as devotees, we should learn. And everybody for themselves, because each of us, we come in situations where we have to choose. Show ego or show love. Give ego or give love. And that's the great souls like Srila Prabhupada. They came to the West with love. Not because of ego, not of prestige, nothing to gain. So, okay, thank you. We did it. Now it's Arti. Thank you very much. You all great, wonderful souls. I wish you a very peaceful, spiritual, charged evening, and tomorrow a wonderful start in the day where you can't wait to get up to see the Lord, Haribo, and to chant His names, Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi, Hari Haribo. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, jai Sri Gurudev ki jai, jai Sanjay Prabhu.